Welcome to the next episode of For the Sake of Heaviness. All right, today is actually part two of a two-part series. Butch and I are doing our top 20 releases of 2024. If you didn't see it already, back up on the old YouTube and check out number 20 to 11 that we put out last week. But today we're focusing on the big ones, the top 10. And I don't know if you're like me, Butch. Man, I shuffled these around and this could change literally within the hour. But
Yeah, I mean, I was, I gave them all. I've been giving them all a run through, and I've been putting them in different orders. And yesterday, I just reordered them again. Like there was one of the records. I'm bumping this one up, and I got to push this one. And I compare. I'll put them next to each, play them one after the other to see, oh, do I like this one more than this one? And then I got to compare it to this, but this is a different style, and so it's crazy, man. Any of these records could end up in the swapping for in the top five
without a doubt, I did
any
the same
day.
thing last night. I kind of went back and revisited a couple, and I'm like, oh man. And I actually did a shuffle. And then this morning I got up and I was like, no, I put them right back where they were. And
Yeah.
then, and like my number 11 was Lucifer's Hammer. And I'm like, oh man, maybe that should have been my 10. But then I'm like, nope, okay, I'm solid. I'm good. I just walked away from it. So we're going to roll with whatever we got now. So I'm going to let you kick off your number 10. Let's see what you got.
All right. Number 10 for me. I'm liking this band more and more with every album. They're up to five records now. Um, I liked it from the jump, but then when Nikki Anderson joined the band, I feel like the songwriting kicked up even an even bigger notch. And so Lucifer 5. I just love this record, man. It's catchy. Um, every song is will just it's like they're earworms, man. I mean, they'll just it's heavy, but there's like a rock and roll to it. If you're a fan of stuff like the Helicopters and it's like if you took the Helicopters and the Devil's Blood and threw them in a blender kind of thing. I mean, it's just a killer record, good occult hard rock, killer vocals, great playing, super catchy. Lucifer 5. This That's pretty
Nice
cool. Wow.
gatefold. Yeah.
Yeah, nice gatefold sleeve there. So I'd love to see them live. I still haven't got a chance yet.
Yeah. Lucifer, I jumped on that right away. Because I was a big fan of The Oath, which she was in prior to, if I'm
Right.
remembering everything right. And then the first couple of Lucifer albums I really did enjoy, and then I kind of lost track of them. I don't know if it was just my personal taste or whatever, but a lot of people have brought that one up, and that's going to be on my list to definitely check out. I think I snoozed on that one, but it seemed like they did. Do you feel like they've changed it up since the last like two records?
I mean, I feel like they're a pretty consistent band. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a change since the first two, but um, I feel like it's a similar. It's one of those things where I feel like they're treading similar ground, but the songwriting is just. I think they kicked the songwriting up on this one. It just feels different to me. I like the last one a lot too. I mean, I like all the records, but I just feel like this is like their best written, the best
Right.
sounding, the best put together
Awesome.
overall. I mean, they can do they stay within a certain framework, but they do a lot within it,
Sure.
I think.
Cool. All right. Definitely got to check that. Nice pick. All right. My number 10. And I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I'm the only person that knows about this band. So if you know about them, speak up because I love these guys. It's a band called Sleepless, and this is Through the Endless Black. These guys are hitting pretty much like all areas. They can thrash out when they want to, but
Mhm.
I really think they're more in tune with, say, Sorcerer, Nevermore, and even maybe a little bit of While Heaven Wept. But
Mhm.
the tempos don't stay strictly in that doom genre. Um, their first album, full length album, Host Desecration, was really good, but this one they've actually built way up on it and taken it to the next level. Kevin Hahn is the vocalist and guitarist, and he's really upped his game. The solos he puts in are just immaculate, for lack of a better term. But And then just this morning I played this through again, and I don't know how many people remember a band called Tad Morose. And these
I
guys,
remember Tad Morose. Yeah.
yeah, these guys actually, it's kind of been stuck with me. I'm like, there's another reference to these guys that I couldn't quite pick out, and it is Tad Morose. And
Hmm.
doing a little bit of research and seeing what other people thought of them, that got brought up too. So I was like, okay, I'm not so far off here. But yeah, Sleepless Through the Endless Black is my number 10. If you haven't heard of them, this is should be on your watch list. These guys are stellar.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I may have seen the name before. I'm sure I did, but I haven't listened to that yet. That's kind of it's just one of those things that's kind of gotten past me. So I'll have to check. I like all the bands you mentioned there are ones I dig. So
And like,
especially like that Urban Breed era of Tad Morose, like that
oh
guy's voice
man,
is, dude,
yeah,
is godly
yeah.
vocally.
I had the
All
chance to
right.
see them at Milwaukee Metal Fest. I think 2000 maybe.
Oh
Only time
man,
I ever saw them, and I just got lucky because they were on the bill for Metal Fest. And man, they just blew everybody away. So good, so tight.
nice. That would have been cool to see, man.
Yeah, they're great.
Um, okay, going on to number nine. Um, Man, I'll tell you what, this guy got a lot of shit when he stepped into Dickinson's shoes and in Maiden. And while that might not have been a perfect fit for him, I still like his voice. I still like a lot of stuff on those records, especially on the X Factor. But I love Wolfsbane. Um, and his solo career, I've heard stuff here and there, and it's always been like quality from
Yeah,
what I've heard. And this is the first one like I went out and actually bought this Circle of Stone, and man, I'm floored by this record. I mean, we were just talking about Bruce in the last episode, and it's like it's
yeah,
kind of like getting, it's not that this sounds like Maiden. It's just that it's just cool to get stuff from both singers
right.
in the same year, and this have them both be like so high quality. I mean, this is just great traditional metal. I mean, straight up, there's no you know pretension about the record. It is what it is. It's his voice sounds phenomenal on it.
Yeah,
It's so when he's doing his thing, like I think the stories are great. There's a song on here called Rage that I wouldn't even be able to tell the story right, but if you look up like what the song, he just says there's story songs on here for some of the record. It's not a concept album, but he's an interesting lyricist. I've listened to interviews with him, really interesting, seems like a really good dude. But again, like his voice is really strong. Great guitar work, great playing. If you like metal, if you like Priest, if you like Maiden, if you like all that, Saxon, that kind of thing. I mean,
yeah.
I would say you owe it to yourself to check out this album. Check out any of his solo records because they've all been high quality true metal records. So I think let's see if there's anything. Yeah, the inside's nice. I mean, I love these gatefold covers, man.
Nah, I do too.
But yeah, Blaze is cool, man. And there's a really nice. I mean, this says like
The
he's
packaging
got
is
like
great.
this nice but like freaking
Oh,
booklet
okay.
in here, man. Like
Oh man.
his bands. Oh, I'm never good at this thing. I don't know where the camera is. It's yeah, there's the man himself. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really good record. Like I said, that song Rage is phenomenal. I I'd be hard pressed to pick like I mean, I think every song on here is great. It's a really good record, man. Definitely worth your
Awesome.
time.
Awesome. Yeah, you sent me the link to that, and I was completely unaware that he had put anything out. So when you sent that link, I checked it out. I'm like, dang, this is great. I think you're right too. I think unfortunately a lot of people tend to forget about Blaze. He was just that Iron Maiden singer for, a half an hour in their history. And that's pretty unfair because he has put out some quality stuff, and that's an album I'm going to pick up. So good pick. Good pick. All right. This next one's on a lot of lists and for good reason. Blood Incantation,
Yes.
Absolute Elsewhere. Um, don't make any mistake. This is still a death metal album. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, they turned into Pink Floyd. Yeah, I can see why people would make comparisons to Pink Floyd, but this is still a death metal album. However, we've all come to love their experimentation, and Time Wave Zero, I think was prepping us for this album. I have mixed feelings about that one, but this one just wow. Massive, expansive soundscapes, just, cosmic goodness, but like I said, it still retains its death metal roots, and it is a phenomenal album. We talked on the last episode of, how we like to make those emotional connections to albums that take you
Right.
someplace. This will definitely fill the space for that. So, um, I had a chance to see Blood Incantation. Oh man, I saw him with Immolation 4 years ago. I guess it's been already. And man, they're every bit as good live as they are on record. So
Nice.
yeah, excellent album.
Good pick, man. That's a good pick.
Yeah, that was
Number
that was
eight.
another one. I'm like, do I go up with it? Go down with it? I'm like, okay, I'll stay where I'm at.
Number eight for me. I like this band. Around I'd heard about them through a couple friends in Ireland. Um, and I thought the first album was cool, and then their second album, Children of the Night, was really good. The one that followed kind of lost me a little bit. I wasn't as into it, but when the singles started coming out for this record, I was intrigued by it because they kind of did what they. There was a band that the band that I've been when I talked to friends about this that I've been comparing this record to a lot is that there was that band In Solitude,
Yes.
um, out of Sweden that were kind of like started as like a Merciful Fate kind
Yeah.
of like a cult kind of metal, straight up metal band. But by the third record, they became like this, closer to Fields of the Nephilim, kind of like gothic
Sure.
metal hybrid kind of thing. And That's what's kind of going on in this record. The vocals, Adam's vocals on here are like, um, he still has the harsh vocals, but then he's doing this really low kind of um, singing thing, which very goth rock in style.
Sure.
You know, uh, the songs are super catchy on here, man. Saturn's Coming Down, um, Tainted Skies. I mean, there's just so much on here that'll catch your ear. They were great live too, and I think that's kind of like seeing them with Opeth, kind of like pushed me over the edge a bit on. And then I went out and bought the record like the next day. Um, I thought I was going to like the record. Seeing them live, they were killer, and the record just the more I listen to it, the more I like it.
That's awesome.
Like I said, super catchy. It's still heavy,
Yeah.
but it's they've managed to meld, I think, metal with goth. There's a few bands doing it now, doing it pretty well. Onto Others
Yep.
is doing a good job with that. Their latest record's really good. Almost made my top 20.
Same.
There's a band from Germany called the Night Eternal. I think that's on a little bit more on the metal side, but has some of the the same kind of like dark rock kind of vibes. Man, definitely worth checking this album out if you like dark metal. Um, and like got where goth meets I don't know death metal. There's little bits of death metal in it, but mostly just great like dark heavy rock. So
That's awesome.
Tribulation Sub Rosa in Eternum.
Fantastic. That is an album that has completely flown under my radar. Didn't even know about it. So I'm gonna take your recommendation. It sounds like, yeah, like you said, unto others, maybe a little typo in there, stuff like that. I'm gonna check that one
Yeah,
out.
I think if people that like Type O would definitely you know I don't while I don't think they sound exactly like it's that in that wheelhouse. I think if
Sure.
you're missing what Typo did, there's a few bands now that or you could kind of like like scratch that itch.
Sure. I got you. All right, cool. Coming up on number 8 for me, we're gonna go down to Chile, and this is Capilla Ardiente, and this is where gods live and men die. Epic doom here, guys. But not so much in the down tune, down tempo version. This hits pretty much somewhere between Solitude Eternus, Candlemass, and like Blood and Thunder era Gate to Slumber.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Man, this is another one too that's very expansive and all over the place and just brings you someplace. Felipe Kutzbach from Procession. I don't know how many people remember Procession. This is his new band. There was an album out before this, which I looked it up and played it a little bit. But this one is whatever they're doing has come into full fruition. Put it that way, because this album is just incredible. Um, just I don't stumbling over myself because I can't even get out how much I've enjoyed this album so much. This is one that I'm like, okay, this could be number one. This could be, in the top five, but I'm happy with where it's at. So, yeah, if you're into epic doom, this will scratch that itch.
Yeah. Felipe's voice is phenomenal, man. That guy is great. He's a
Yeah.
great
Oh
singer.
yeah. Yeah. Procession was fantastic too.
Yeah, they were good bands. Let's see. Number 7. Uh Man, I this could potentially go up higher, but we were just talking about this in the last episode, and I feel like I agree with you that there's a lot to digest with these guys. And
Yeah.
it's Opeth. Um, you know, I was one of the people that I love that Ackerfeld. I love his. I'm not a big. Let's start with this. I'm not a huge extreme metal fan. I do like there's some stuff I like. Like it took me a while to catch on to death metal, and it's the vocals have always been a sticking point for me with extreme metal. Now over the years, there's bands I've learned to really like, and there's things I appreciate about death metal and some black metal, and
Sure.
so I Opeth was one of the bands I really did like. I like what he did with his voice. I could appreciate, especially it started with the music. You know, mind blowing. Like every record, the things that they would do
Yeah.
in terms of playing and their song structures and how he'd go from that growl to that clean voice. Which I don't know how he, having just seen them live um, last month, how he can do that without totally destroying his voice. But
Right.
he's amazing at it. Um, and both his voice, I mean, he has a great death growl and ferocious, and his clean singing voice is excellent. I personally loved when he took all the death metal vocals out. I love those records. Um, that it's just like straight up 70s prog
Yeah.
worship kind of thing. Like to me, it wasn't that big a loss. I always had the old stuff to listen to if I wanted to hear him go back. If I wanted to hear the death, like the Blackwater Park on back and
Right.
Ghost Reveries, or go back to Orchid, to the death metal years. But I love his clean singing voice, and I love those records. I think he managed to split the difference really well on this record. Man, he brought the vocals, the death vocals back in. There's certainly some really heavy passages on here, but he kept it's still very progressive.
Yes.
It's a very challenging record. I think it's really odd too. I mean, you alluded to this too. What paragraph is your favorite? Every song is just titled, like paragraph 1,
Right.
paragraph 2. So yeah, man. I mean, I just think it's another winner for me. I mean, they just knock them out of the park every time. And this one, like I said, I feel like in time this could go higher up. I feel like it'll be a record that I'll still be listening to, years from now.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. It's a huge album. So much to really, I think we talked about it a little bit the last episode, how for something of that magnitude, you really need to sit down and put the phone away, everything else, and just digest what they've done. Yeah, I was very appreciative that the death metal stylings came back. Not that I hated everything posts like Blackwater Park. I discovered Opeth pretty early on, with like literally within the release of My Arms Your Hearse, and fell
mm-hmm.
in love with it. And it's still one of my all-time favorites. And I loved everything they did after that. But once they kind of moved beyond Blackwater, I was like, okay, I love prog too. I really do. But I didn't jump on the transition for Opeth because I loved so dearly everything that they had done before. Like I said, not that it wasn't good stuff, it was, but it just didn't stick with me as much. But now with this one, now I'm like second guessing myself. I'm like, maybe I really should go back and re-examine some of the more proggier elements because and since we did the last episode, I have sat with this album a couple more times, and it is just incredible. It really is.
Yeah. One of the things I have to do too, is I really want to take the time, like especially now I'm off work for a bit, is sit with it with the lyrics. The
Yeah,
whole Last Will and Testament, the whole concept of this record that each paragraph deals with part of the will, is so interesting to me, and the guy's such a great storyteller. So I'm looking forward to sitting and like just really taking in
yeah,
the lyrics. Right now, it's kind of like just like breathing in the music and taking it
exactly.
the audio portion of it. I want to really take some time, just sit, open up that poster. It's got the lyrics on
Yep,
it, and
yep,
check
exactly.
it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, just because of the pace of our lives, it's hard to sit and just and listen to music. It seems like we've always got something secondary going on. You're fiddling with your phone or this or that or cleaning. But yeah, there's not a lot of time anymore to just sit and
Yeah,
listen. So I do try to do that. But that's an album that deserves that. So, all right. Speaking of concepts, and I know both you and I have high accolades for this one. We had King on the show, and we
yes.
discussed this at length. But Deceased, Children of the Morgue, man, I'm you know Deceased has a way of just kind of reinventing themselves with each and every album. I mean, they have a formula, but they keep everything fresh. And this album is no different. Huge album. Yeah, Butch, you and I have talked about the little segues in between songs that keeps
Hmm.
this whole story just interesting, and it circles around the concept of death and how it affects those dying and those around you. And oh man, absolutely amazing album. If you didn't catch our episode with King Fowley, look it up. We had a great time with him. King is a fantastic storyteller. Check it
Definitely.
out. Yeah, but such a good album. Death metal from the grave, man. Deceased, Children of the Morgue.
Great pick, man. Great pick.
Love it.
What are we up to? Number six
Yes, sir.
here. Okay, so I was just talking about how I feel about extreme metal. It's a little bit irregular for me to have a record um, that's on the more extreme side creep into my top 10.
Sure.
And this was a band like I just so many people have been talking about them over the last couple of years, and then in hearing descriptions about this record, it was just one of those things like I'm gonna check it out. Like too many people that I whose opinions I appreciate were like this record's great.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna listen to it. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I know people don't bag on Spotify, but it's beautiful as a tool for stuff like this. And
Yeah.
I put this Blood Incantation Absolute
Yeah.
Elsewhere album on, and I'm telling you, man, I listened to it once and I was like, that's pretty good. And then I listened to it again and I was just like, I'm just like knocked flat
Yeah.
by this record. Like, and honest to God, like for me to like go out and buy a death metal record, like that's the vocals are brutal on here,
Yeah.
first of all. Like for me to go out right away and grab a record like this is it's a little bit unusual. Like it's not like I don't have super heavy stuff in my collection, but I mean stuff this heavy and this, there is a lot of I do really love um the space rock cosmic
Yeah.
kind of elements under the psychedelic like screw with your head
Yep.
Pink Floyd-esque soundscapes and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it really like it makes the brutal parts stand out even more. Like
Absolutely.
I think, and man, I just think it's such a well-rounded record. Like the writing on here is good. It's a record, man. You just want to put it on, just listen to the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's a bummer that I even have to like. I mean, I guess I don't have to. I could have gotten it on CD and just listened to it straight through. But I like the having the vinyl. But the it's just killer, man. I mean, I just love this record. So now of course I have to check out. I'm gonna have to check out some of the rest of the catalog. But this record for me, man, it could it's another one that I think on any given day could be in my five,
Yeah,
top three even. It just when I put the final list together, that's where it
sure.
fell. But number six for me is this Blood Incantation, Absolute Elsewhere, phenomenal record. You should at least, even if you don't like extreme metal, I think check it out. Like if you like, you know, cosmic like space rock, psychedelic stuff, like
Yeah.
if you like heavy music, even if you don't like the brutal vocals, like just give it a chance because it just works. There's just something about the way that they
Yep.
put things together. It works really well. It's a tremendous record.
Yeah, if you want to go backwards, definitely get Hidden History of the Human Race, and you can kind of see where this is the natural progression of where they were going, which just gets you excited about like, damn, what's the next one going to be? But
Yeah,
you made a really really good point though, because when they're in that mode of cosmic spaciness, when they do hit back hard with the death metal, just like you said, it hits like that much harder. It showcases that a little bit more. I mean, they have really crafted that album to a T. Every single thing that they've done on there works.
yeah.
So
The dynamics are unbelievable on the
yeah,
record.
yeah, yeah. Great album, great review. You nailed it. Okay, I'm up to number six too. And I think you and I were just talking the other day about somebody in this band. And I never expected this album to like sit with me as well as it did, and I grabbed for it a lot because it's a cool, fun album. It rocks RAWK. And it's like, man, I can play this over and over. It's a fun album. And some of the one video that they did for it just goes along with like their sense of humor where they're not taking themselves so seriously. But um Lie Heavy. Carl
Oh,
Gal, I
dude,
mean, man, this is just so good. I know a lot of people are going to take the doom route right away, but it's like, yeah, there's elements, but there's that 70s, rock thing going on. The production is awesome. This whole album just jams. The title track is awesome. The namesake song, Lie Heavy, that video I love watching that video, man. It's just hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I might like this better than Blind if we're talking strictly, Carl's vocal performance. Oh, this album is just so good. I love every single thing about it, man. So yeah, if you haven't gotten this yet, and you do like, that 70s tinted heavy stuff, man, this is really gonna check all the boxes for you. So good.
yeah.
So Lie Heavy,
Car-
Burned
Carl
in.
has such a great voice. It's so unique too. Like he really just
Yes.
stands out. He has his own vibe going on and totally cool guy. That's a really good record, man.
Yeah, yeah. And Carl's like we've said as we've been doing reviews, just a super guy too, man. Such a awesome, genuine person. So
Yeah,
you
for
gotta
sure.
love that album. All right, what else you got coming up, Butch?
All right. I don't have this one yet. I have to obtain it, but I've listened to it enough times and it's broken my heart and soul enough times now to know how much I love it. And that is 40 Watt Sun's Little Wait.
uh,
Um, Patrick Walker has long had this way of going back to his days in Warning. Like the first time I heard Warning, I thought I don't like his voice at all. And then the more you listen to it, the more it's like, oh my god, like he just there's an emotional tonality to what he's doing that there's just it's almost like he's got a key that he's like unlocking something within you, and his voice just like grew on me, and the the vocals are really what drive I think have drove Warning, um a lot, and 40 Watt Sun. A lot of bands can come out like musically with stuff like this and not have it be as compelling, but when he puts his the vocals and lyrics over top, like that's the
yeah,
part that, like I said, it'll like wring your heart out, man. It's just such a good record. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's just one of those ones you put it on, just soak it in,
yeah.
and you know it makes you want to cry
It
when you
does.
listen to it. I mean, it has a heaviness to it. It's heavier, I think, emotionally than sonically. But I mean, if you're a fan of Warning, and if you've liked what 40 Watt Sun, I mean, I think this is actually stronger than the last couple that they did. Maybe even better than the Inside Room, to be honest with you. Really like this record. Um, I know friends of mine love it too.
Yeah.
So definitely worth checking out. 40 Watt Sun. Little Wait.
This is one I've streamed and right, I know Patrick's vocals are soul crushing at times. Like you said, it rings you out. That's not a joke. Um, and I was like you too. I heard a lot of people spoke very highly of Warning. Um, and then when I first listened to him, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. Like you, definitely grew on me. And, his vocals, the way that they kind of paralleled with, the riffs became almost hypnotic at times. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you listen to the tonal value of his voice and the lyrics, and you're like, just like you said, you're like, as soon as it ends, you're just like, in a shambles.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
yeah, good pick. Really good pick. All right, my next one. What are we on here? Number five. I feel like this one has been kind of completely missed too. And it definitely deserves credit. And I've played the hell out of this album. And this is from Century. And this is the remaining members of Manila Road. And they pick back up. And this is definitely there's no way you can not play with everybody that played with Mark the Shark Shelton and not put out a new album and have a little bit of a nod to him or pay
Right.
homage tribute, which they do. That said, this completely stands on its own merit. Everything about this album is just fantastic. Brian Patrick's vocals are they soar, and I think he's got a little bit more room to breathe than he might have, and within Manila Road as far as backups and things like that. But the title track, Dark Matter, oh, it sets the bar high, and the whole album just goes right with it from start to finish. This is it just never lets up. It's still very epic. It's still very has that Manila Road element, but it definitely it stands on its own as a unique identity. So, if you like Mark Shelton's playing, if you like Manila Road, if you like the epic style of music, the New Century is just outstanding.
Nice. Yeah, nice pick. That's like definitely a good record, man.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Um, my next one is Deceased, Children of the Morgue. Again, like I try to get I would have it already. I was trying to get my local. I always try to like buy through um my favorite store here in Pittsburgh. It's called The Attic. So I always try to
Sure,
get it through them first. I'm gonna have to go online, I think, to obtain it. But you know, we've said so many glowing things about it amongst ourselves, and then
yeah,
in talking to King and just now your review of it pretty much nailed it. I mean, the record is, I think, a masterpiece. Um, they King and those guys just crafted a great record. I mean, it flows really well. The little segues in there will like they kind of jar you
yeah,
when they come in because some of them are a little bit they're all short, but like some are shorter than others, and you're like when you first hear it, you think it's like the first time I heard it, I thought like there were a couple of them. I was like, is my copy defective? Like, did something get cut off? Like,
yeah,
but then you find out it was done purposely that way to like jar you a bit. Super intelligent um lyrics and stuff, thoughtful kind of lyrics. Like I for as heavy as it is, I don't know. There's just something I wasn't. I guess it wasn't fully what I expected. It's not that they haven't done thoughtful lyrics before. I just,
sure,
especially I think in talking to King about the whole concept of death, and
right,
when you got, everyone go check that interview out because he's such a compelling storyteller, and he really gets into a lot of what went behind, the record. So there's a lot that went into it, and a lot of that really struck me and stuck with me.
yeah,
And makes yeah, the record's heavy and it's death metal, but it's also got like it's also traditional metal. Like they really like have their own space
Yep.
cut out. I mean, yeah, they're a death metal band, but there's also like they don't just adhere to what other death metal bands are doing. He has a King has a really like rough voice, but and you know what's the word? For an extreme, but you can understand everything that he's saying. Like
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like one of those guys like they don't sound the same, but like Lars Gorn Petrov, like you understand what
Yeah.
he was saying, even though it's heavy. So King just doesn't settle for like garbling it's not just
Yeah.
like a soundscape of
Right.
brutality. It's like there's it enhances what they're doing. I mean, you can tell, you could follow along the
Yeah.
lyrics to get the story.
He articulates. He's
Killer
not like a
playing,
Chris
lots of time
Barnes.
changes
Yeah.
and things like,
Yeah.
yeah. um just a phenomenal record, man. And I can't wait to have it here. I loved Ghostly White. From that, I thought that album was savage. I think this one's even better. um Killer record. And for the band to be around this long and still be making records like this is,
Yeah.
we were talking about, it's kind of weird to talk about them as like we talk about like bands like Priest and Saxon Page as legacy bands, but Deceased has been around for what, 30 years now,
Yeah. 30, 40.
35,
Yeah.
going on 40 years, I think, since they got together. So
Yeah.
for them to be making a record like this is like, but all praise to them, because it's a King and the guys, because this album smokes.
Yeah. I know after that long and to come out peak performance with a masterpiece like this is incredible. It's crazy. But yeah, I like you said, I encourage everybody, if you didn't get to see it, search the channel and look up our interview with King Foley. The way he explains what went into recording this album, and especially from his perspective and personal experiences, I mean, the guy put his absolute heart 100% into this and can relate to a lot of the subject matter. So like, it was a great interview. We enjoyed it so much. So we hope you check it out too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on to number four. Now, if you've followed me at all on anything, you guys will know right away how much I absolutely, and I'll use this word again, I don't care. I adore this band from Australia. To me, there's just nobody like them, and if there is, I've never heard of them, seen them, or anything. But the Neptune Power Federation. Oh my God, I love this band so much. These guys can go from the Mamas and the Papas to Motorhead to the Beach Boys to 60s doo-wop to the Ace Frehley 78 solo album in a heartbeat and make it all sound awesome. Um, this latest one, I got the CD for this too, and it was in my truck, and I just listened to it nonstop from the day it came out. Um, so good. I mean, the Imperial Priestess, she has such a magical voice, for using a really silly term, but I don't know how else to say it. And she's got such great range, and the way that she harmonizes with layers of her vocals just brings out another element of this band. I've been listening to these guys since their first full length. I think there was actually an Australia only release that I don't have that came out prior to. But just, I mean, from the get go, Let Us Begin, the first track on here, and then Evermore is a huge standout for me. You know, just one of those fist pumper sing along, awesome
Yeah.
tunes. Um, but just an amazing band, an original, very unique band that is you don't always come across those too often these days, but this is one of them. They have a pretty good catalog going right now too. So check them out. The Neptune Power Federation. Good night, my children. Number four.
Yeah, they're really good. That's a really good record, man. I'm a little bit behind on catching up on that catalog, but I remember Enrico first telling me about that band, years ago before he signed them, and how much he was floored by their live show too. So hopefully we'll get to witness that. I would love it if we could witness that on these shores someday. But
Oh
everyone
man.
should check them out. They're really different. They got their own thing going on, which is really cool, and it's just so catchy
Yeah,
and fun,
everything.
like you
Yep.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. I was really when Enrico said that, I think he had caught on. We had talked about it too, and then he said he was signing them, and then they got to go over to Europe, and I'm like, oh man, I would just jump at the opportunity to catch those guys here in the States. So, like you just said, hopefully one day we'll be able to see that.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Um, okay, I think we're up to number three now.
Yes, sir.
Um, my third one, I'm gonna butcher the name of this record. Hin Helga Gval, Solstifiers
Oh,
playing this
okay.
record. I don't even know how to describe these guys. It's kind of like I've been a fan since I think it was their fourth fourth album, Auta. That goes back to like 2013 or 2014. And I saw them here. Weirdest thing, man, is seeing them. They're from Iceland,
Right.
and I saw them here at the old 31st Street Pub in
Really?
Pittsburgh, which to me is still one of the coolest shows I've ever seen because this tiny, not tiny, small, like dirty rock and roll bar.
Yeah.
To see these dudes come in and just level the place. I guess it kind of like occupies the space. I guess I see these albums turn up in record stores like in the metal section, but I've also seen it get put into like post metal.
Sure.
I don't, man, I be lying if I said I fully understood everything that was considered post black metal or post metal. They kind of started out as like a black metal kind of thing, but there's over the course of the records, I find it to be an emotional, like it's heavy. There's a mix of things. There's definitely some metal going on. um I don't want to use the term goth, but there's definitely some of that kind of vibe going on. um you know your post rock, there's like soundscapey kind of stuff all at one time. Real epic sounding at times. Really interesting bands. The album before this, I didn't care for as much. This one like just kind of vaulted back in. It's one of those things you kind of got to give a couple listens. It kind of grows on you.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend checking them out. If you like this one, then go back and listen to Auto. I think is a phenomenal record. And if you get a chance to see them live, they're so good live, so compelling, and just like um, good with the audience and stuff. But really cool, like different band. If you want something outside of that's, you know, just outside of the norm, like outside, you can't classify it. Is it doom? Is it death metal? Is
Right.
it black metal? Is it goth metal? Is it what? It's like all kind of stuff mixed into one thing. So Ada Hin Helga Kvol.
We'll go with that. It's funny. That's one of those bands that I know about, but they've always just been on the periphery of everything that I listen to, and I've never really dove into them. So you bringing that up has just piqued my interest again. So I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. Good
Yeah,
pick.
it's definitely worth checking out, man.
Okay, we're into top three, and I guess my top three. I don't have to go into a lot of great detail because I mean, there's already been a lot said about all of them for good reason. That's why they're in my top three. But okay, The Gates of Slumber.
There it is.
Man, so good to have them back. This album just kills on every single level. We had the boys on, really good interview with all of them. Had a lot of fun. We discussed, the production on this is just perfect,
Yeah,
absolutely
it's
perfect
great.
for the material. It's so good. Every single song on here has its own story going on. It's just there's not much I can say other than that. Check out our interview with the Gates of Slumber if you haven't already. Butch, I know this was in your between 11 and 20 for good reason. Just man, such a good album. Pleasant surprise to have Steve Janiak doing harmonizing vocals
Hmm.
and taking on some lead vocals himself too. Kind of opens up another facet to the Gates of Slumber. Um, just man, true doom. It's back.
For real. All right.
There it is.
Invincible Shields. I love this record, man. And honestly, like, I have to be honest with you, as much as I love Priest, if you would have told me 15 years ago, I'd be holding this record up as my number two, some days number one record. I would have said, no way. Because I still liked a lot of the records they've made since their heyday. But man, when Firepower came out, that
Yeah.
record like knocked my damn doors off. And this one, like honestly, I didn't like at first listen. I'm like, I really like this record when I first heard it. But I thought I still like Firepower more. But you know what? The more I listen to this record, I think this one is even better than Firepower. And man, for a band that's been around as long as Judas Priest, I mean, they knocked it out of the fucking park
Yep.
with this record. I
Couldn't
mean, and
agree more.
it's the more you listen to it, the more you hear like that. There's sections of the record like it's like, oh, that sounds like 70s Priest, or that sounds
Yeah.
like 80s, that's classic 80s Priest right there, or that's Painkiller era
Yep.
Priest right there. And it's all mixed in, and the songwriting's great, and Halford sounds godly on the record, and Richie Faulkner's playing is tremendous, and Scott Travis and Ian Hill's doing what Ian Hill does. And it sounds good. The songwriting's great. I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's no, for me, no dead spots on this record.
Nope. None.
From opener Panic Attack to Giants in the Sky is my favorite on here. It's
I
just
know
such
you
a
love that
big
one.
and epic sounding song. Just like it. I wish I need to get the. I think I'm going to need to get the CD too to get those bonus tracks because like the Lodger and what's the what are the what's the other what are the other bonus track names? There's a couple that are just as good that should have been, man, they should have just made it a triple record.
Yeah.
And
You're gonna put me on the spot. I can't remember them either. But if you
that's
look
all
real
right. It's
close,
all right,
I
man. I don't
I bought
remember
the
me.
CD too. It's like behind me over there, behind another CD.
But I mean, I just think this is an incredible record, man. If you like Priest, you've no excuse not to go out and get this record.
None.
Um, it's amazing. Firepower was great. This is great. I mean, they're like in a, this is like they're catching like their third or fourth wind here, man. I mean,
Let's just
honestly, like,
combine our number twos, Butch. Let's just
yeah.
continue this discussion, okay?
Put your number two on top of my number two.
I will mirror
Two
everything you just
reviewers,
said.
one cup.
Don't look that
Yeah,
up. Don't do it. Yeah, everything you said too, Butch. I mean, and the same thing when Firepower came out, I was like, holy shit, this just is incredible, man. But the more I've listened to this, I also will say I like it better than Firepower. There's not a single weak spot on here. I think this ebbs and flows just a little bit more than
mm-hmm.
Firepower. Firepower was very in your face. Um, this one's got its lighter spots. Crown of
Some more
Horns.
dynamics.
I didn't know what to think of Crown of Horns at first when they released that as like a lead off single or one of the lead off singles. It's kind of like, where are we going here? But then the more and more I listened to it, and that grew on me. And hearing that live too, um, everything that they played live on this last tour from this album just sounded so good. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say, other than I would have loved to have been in the studio when they were making the track list and decided what's going to be on the main album. And I am very
Mm-hmm.
glad that they did do those bonus tracks. Um, Maybe I'll make an addendum on here when I edit. But the Lodger, I don't know how that did not make the main track listing because that song is so good and has such a different um sound to it and just the way it's composed. I mean that could have, to me possibly even been on Stained Class or Sin After Sin or something.
Yeah.
Just that the way the tone of that song goes. So yeah, so good. So good. Okay, we're there. Number one, numero uno. What do you
Number
got?
one, this is another one. I'm going to preface this by saying that I've loved this band for a long time, but over the course of the last couple records, I felt like they were starting to drop back a little bit. I didn't think that Sword Songs or Wolf God were as compelling as the records that came before it. But man, if Grand Magus did not
Yeah.
smash it with this album, Sun Raven, um, this is everything I like about these guys. I mean, and I'll be honest with you. It's not like the last two didn't stay in the weren't in the wheelhouse that I like. It's just that this album feels so much more. I can't even describe it. Um, the last two, it felt like they were starting to really retread what they'd done, and it's not that there's a million new ideas
Right.
on this record, but it's sharper. The songwriting's better. I feel like they took more time to put these songs together. Um, and it just worked. This is their best record since Triumph and Power, which is one of my
Oh
favorites.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think in terms of being consistent, I mean, I remember when they first came out, those first two records were more like Doom records, like kind of JB, first of all, as one of my favorite voices in all of metal. It
Mhm.
just like he just has this massive, powerful voice. Bluesy, like he's a power belter, like Dio kind of thing. And those first couple records were more like in the doom stoner metal
Yeah.
kind of category, and then they came out with Wolf's Return, which was like the first time I heard it, and I heard Kingslayer. I'm like, what the hell? Like it was full on, like they went full on metal.
Yeah.
And every record since then has been like, they just built. Iron Will still, I think, maybe my favorite Grand Magus album. I mean, just for like the Oars Strike the Water. I mean, that song right there, I think is an
Yeah.
all time classic, epic metal kind of song. But this record, I think, is killer, man. I mean, it's got, it's traditional metal, like in your face, power, power trio metal, powerful, powerful vocals. Um, and Yeah, I hear people like the when they give comparisons for if you like this band, like people throw around the name Manowar. I mean, I like Manowar, but I like these guys so much
Sure.
more. But it's in that wheelhouse kind of. You
Yeah.
just like battle metal, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, it makes you want to put your gauntlets on and get out there, throw a shield on your back and put a helm on and get your axe. And I mean, and look at this.
Dive into battle.
Yeah, I mean, this cover artwork's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Um, I don't think this record is. Oh, it is. Look, it's, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Colored vinyl.
yeah, I love this record, man. And it's been growing on me. The first time I heard it, I thought that's pretty good, and then the more I heard it, like freaking Skybound, phenomenal. The Wheel of Pain, like they're so good at like these. They just have these catchy songs that you just immediately when you hear
Yeah.
them, you picture yourself being in a crowd singing "What the Wheel of
Yeah.
Pain." It's just, um, I love Grendel, so heavy. The title track "Sun Raven" is great. Um, Man, just such a great record, man. I mean, JB, Fox, and Ludwig, man, just throwing down the freaking gauntlet and being like, none,
Doing what they do.
none more metal. There's none more metal. Grand Magus Sun Raven, my number one record this year. Get it. I'm not
That
paid by them, by the way. I really do.
no endorsements.
I saw them once live, and they were
I
godly.
was I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
I saw them in Dublin back in 2014. They were killer,
Yeah. That's
killer
awesome.
live band. I would love to see them again. Just so
Yes,
powerful.
that's a great record, and I'm glad you brought it up because that's another band for me that kind of fell out of liking for me. I don't know. Like you said, Iron Will is just masterpiece. But then, yeah, I don't know. Like the next couple kind of tread the same ground, and I kind of moved on to other stuff. But just looking at other people's lists, I've seen that one pop up quite a bit for end of year list for 24. So, and I know you've always been a big fan of those guys too. So I
Yeah.
was kind of curious if that was popping up. I had no idea what your number one was. So very cool. Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up. This one just inched out Priest by a fuzz, man, just a little bit for whatever reason. And these guys have been on a run too, where their last, 4 or 5 have been great. This one just hit that right vibe for me, and it's just stuck with me. I play it all the time. Saw them live, and I was up in my seat looking like a 15-year-old with my denim and leather, and I was rah. So, yep,
Yes.
hell, fire, and damnation. Saxon. This I mean, I was I was waiting to regret what I said because this came out what I think back in January, and I was like, album of the year, album of the fucking year.
Yeah,
Right now, I'm calling it, man. And everybody was like, "Shut up, dude! You got the whole year ahead of you." But here I am, man, and it is for me album of the year. Just so much. Every single song stands on its own. I mean, we've already talked about this. You had this in your list. We've talked about this with other people, but having Tadler in the band has kind of added a new element, a little bit of Diamond Head bleeding into it, maybe. Man, it's just
yeah, for sure.
I love it all. Something in Roswell. As soon as I heard that, I was like, that's catchy as hell. And then, from the start to we just talked about Supercharger. Kubla Khan is so good. Fire and Steel. Madam Guillotine, so good. That sounded great. You saw him live too, didn't you, this year with Uriah Heep?
Yeah, that was phenomenal live.
Oh man, what a show!
Yeah,
What a show!
what a tour, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, that was so good. Uriah Heep was awesome too. But yep, this one did it for me this year, folks. Saxon, Hellfire, and Damnation.
That's a great pick, man. And I want to say something about Saxon too, and not it's not like they're watching this or anything, but uh, you know, they're a band. I think like we were talking about. I mean, the run they've been on. I feel like since Unleash the Beast, they've been on, you know, very consistent, high level material, and um, they're still so good live. And one of the things like I would really like to see, and I know there are other fans out there. I know for sure there's fans who maybe came into the band later. I know Jeff from Mind Maze has said this before online that um they don't focus enough on these newer records, man. They
I know,
live. I mean, we all want to hear the classics, but I really there's so many good songs like on these records they've been putting out that it's kind of a shame that they don't have more time to. They do these package tours. They only get like an hour 15
right?
when they're splitting time, and um, I want to hear Denim and Leather too. I want to hear Wheels of Steel, but
Yeah,
man, I'd also like to hear. It's cool that they played a few songs from this record live. Um, there are so many songs on these records though that it'd be nice to see them playing some of them and leaving them in the set list. Like I would like
yeah,
to hear Lionheart.
sure.
I would like
Another
to
good
hear
one.
Unleash the Beast. Like they have so many. They still do play Sacrifice
Hmm.
live, but I mean, I guess it's they just have such a wealth of material. But they're one of those bands I think like that people would still. I think they would still love them live if they started cutting back on some of the some of the 80s stuff in favor of just spreading things out
Yeah.
a bit. Like I don't think we needed to hear Ride Like the Wind the
No,
last time I saw
no,
them.
no. We
They
we
were
could have
intent
left
on
that one
playing
out.
it though. He did the old. I don't know if he did it at your show. He did the old. The first time I saw him, he did this too. That the let the crowd pick kind of thing. Like
Yeah, yeah,
just quick story. Like in '87 when I saw them, he was like, "Do you want to hear Crusader or Party Till You Puke?" And
yeah.
you knew like the crowd was going. He'd say Crusader, and the crowd went nuts. Say Party to Puke, and the crowd was like
No.
flat. And they played Party to Puke. It was like this last one. It was like the choices were um, Ride Like the Wind, Broken Heroes, which I was going nuts for.
Yeah,
And there was one other one. Maybe the Eagle has landed, maybe.
yeah,
And they played Ride Like the Wind.
yeah.
He was like,
Like
"It's a good song. We did the best version. Even Christopher Cross says we did the best version. We're gonna play it anyway."
it's like, come on, Biff.
They do a good version of it. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, give me Lionheart or something. Give me something. Give me
Yeah,
more off the new record because
yeah,
they're just so. I mean, they're just so good still, and his voice is
yeah.
godly.
I think that's one of the faults of being a so-called, legacy band is even though they are putting out quality albums, unless you're well, even some of the diehards, I guess too. But however you come into their catalog and how whatever stage you're at when you discover a band, unfortunately, a lot of legacy bands when they play live or nobody cares about the really good stuff they've put out, and like you just said, if they come around again next year, I mean, how many of these songs are they going to keep? I would love to see a couple, but let's be realistic. They'll put a couple from the new one, and then Here comes denim, which I have no problem with. It'd be denim and leather and wheels of steel and
Power and the
uh,
Glory.
power and glory. Yep, yep.
Yeah, they have a
I was surprised the Motorcycle Man was in there too. I think
yeah.
I
I mean,
saw him, but
I think they played that every time I've seen them. But you talk about a band that has a 50 year career, and think about the fact that at least half to three quarters of the set list comes from a 5 year period,
right,
from
right,
79 to 84.
sure,
Um, which again, I'm not complaining, man. Um, because also, like, even if they just kept it to those years and just played old stuff, even within that, there's so much good stuff that
yeah,
I guess you're always going to leave. Like, if you're a Saxon fan, you're always going to leave wishing that they'd played something else. Like, and the band's played on. Like, I've been
yeah,
lucky to see them play that one once or twice.
yeah,
There's always something you're like, someone's always yelling for Strong Arm of the Law. Maybe they don't play that night.
sure, sure,
747. Maybe you want to hear that. I don't know.
yeah,
There's
yeah. There's a
so
couple
much
that
to pick from.
they could leave out. I mean, later day Saxon, Lionheart was always my favorite until this came out. But yeah, I would have liked to have heard stuff from Lionheart or Carpe Diem and everything else they put out because they've been that good. But I mean, I guess they kind of know where their bread and butter is. I mean, Kiss was the same way. That they didn't change things
Mm-hmm.
up at all. How many times would you have gone absolutely nuts if they played Mr. Speed or something like that?
Oh, for
So,
for sure. I
so Saxon's kind of in that same territory where they know where the bread and butter is. They know what the majority of people want to hear, and who knows at this point too. You and I have been into Saxon for a long time, but there might be some newer person that showed up and only knows that classic stuff because that's what Dad played and has no interest in the new stuff. So yeah, it's
yeah
it's like between a rock and a hard place. So.
yeah.
All right.
All
Butch,
right,
great lists all around. Your top 20
definitely
was fabulous.
a lot of yours. There's a lot from your list that I need to check out still too. So I
Likewise.
concur with a lot of it. There's so many great records this year.
Yeah, this was a great, great year. I kind of said, in our last episode, I didn't think 24 was going to be as strong as it was, but man, so much good stuff, so much yet to discover, are things I need to go back and research and check out again. A lot of them on your list. So,
Yeah, I mean, so many. There's so many other. Um, Everyone's lists are coming out now. Yeah, I was just watching. I was just listening to Alan on Agitators Anonymous. Just came out with his top 21, and
yeah,
Joe from Defenders of the Faith just put out his list. And every list you look at is like, people on my friends list are putting out lists. You're like, oh my god, I gotta check out that one. Or I wonder what that sounds like. And oh,
yeah.
I missed that one, and I missed that one this year, and I need to spend more time with the new Warlord. And
Yep, yep.
there's just
Or
so much. There's so
I
much
still
good music.
I got to get the Deep Purple. I know you and so
Oh,
many other of our friends. Or
I know it
I
didn't
got
make
to
my
get it.
list, but it's so good. It's still
Yeah,
so good.
I know. That's why I'm like, man, I totally missed out on that. I need to get that one. And yeah, I mean, it never ends. You're never going to be able to keep up with all of it, but you do what you can do. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we want to thank
All
you
right.
for joining us for our two-part episodes of our top 20 of 24. We'd also like to thank all of our subscribers for helping us kick off this channel. It's been a lot of fun, and I can speak for Butch. I know that we've got all kinds of cool stuff planned for 25, but we'd still love to hear your suggestions. So
Heck yeah.
use that comment box, definitely. So,
Yeah. Subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, hit the like. The likes help. Put your comments as always. Check out our Facebook page. Tell us what you want to see. Hey man, we listen to all kind of stuff. So between the two of us, if you anything you want us to talk about, we want to know what you want to hear. I mean, we're not just restricted to talking about Priest or traditional metal or death metal or doom metal. We're like, we want to talk about the stuff that you're into, that we're into. So let's see what you want. Give us your comments. Tell us what we're doing good. Tell us what we're doing bad.
yeah, the word heaviness for us, parameters are very widespread. There's a whole lot that we can say is heavy and discuss it to give us topic suggestions. We're all for it. This is
Yeah.
a channel for all of us. So we want to do
Heck
some
yeah.
fun stuff here. So all right.
All
Well,
right.
I'm Merciful Mike,
I'm Butch Balich
and we will see you on the next episode of
for the
For the
sake
Sake of
of heaviness.
Heaviness. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving it in.
Yeah, do it.